Hey Teletizens, back again with me, Aji Gautama Patrada. This is our course operating systems and our first meeting. We are discussing about OSE overview. We have reached the last video of meeting 1. Now we are going to discuss about system call. Let's start this video. So we are talking about layers again. What layers have we here? Let's talk about the bottom layers, and let's talk about the upper layers. Here we have upper layers and we have lower layers. So here we have the user part of the OS and we have the kernel part of the OS, and we have the hardware, and we have the software, and we have the, the user itself. This is the user OS. This is the kernel OS. Now, the kernel OS has many weapons, has many things. The kernel has process. The kernel has process. The kernel has files. The kernel has communication. The kernel has information. And what else does the kernel have? The kernel has devices. There are 5 things that the kernel has, and the user doesn't have anything. So the user says, I want to use them. I want them. How do he uses the things that kernel has? This is called the interface. So we have another layer between user and kernel, and it's called the interface. The interface is also called the API, Application Protocol Interface. And this API is called specifically in our discussion, it is called system call. So system call is the interface between the user space and the kernel space. System call. We are going to discuss about the system call. So system call is how the user uses the things that kernel have. This is an illustration. So perhaps the user is executing and then it uses system call. System call sends something to the kernel mode. The kernel mode executes the system call. The system call returns something to the user mode. So this is how the user mode and the kernel mode interact. And here, like I said before, the kernel has 5 things: the process, devices, files, information, and communication. And these are the system calls. System calls looks like function. Here are some famous function call that you will probably system call that you will probably hear in the future. Fork. Fork in Unix is create process in Windows, so it starts a process. And then open opens a file, and closes a file. And then we have get PID in information. Here, get PID. PID is process ID. So each process that runs has an ID. The information is in the information part of the kernel. I think that's it. So that is the end of video 7 and also the end of meeting 1. In this video we have discussed about system call, and in this meeting we have successfully discussed about the overview of operating systems, that are the basics. In the next chapter we will discuss about process, which is the main part of an operating system. Thank you for your attention. I am hoping to meet you again in the next meeting.